Have you ever had that gut feeling like something just doesn't add up with her story, her habits, her sudden busy days? Fellas, today we're talking about a topic most men avoid but can't afford to ignore: serial cheating. Yes, these women who are serial cheaters are pros at deception, leaving you blindsided, confused, and questioning everything. I'll break it down. Welcome back, Jessica OS here. Now, if you don't spot these patterns early, you could end up wasting time, energy, and your sanity on a woman who's never truly committed to you. So let's get into the science, the psychology, and what you need to watch out for. The serial cheater profile, what sets them apart? Serial cheaters are in a league of their own. They're not just stepping out of the relationship once out of boredom or circumstance, they make cheating a lifestyle. For them, it's not just about the betrayal, it's about the game, the thrill, and most importantly, the power they feel knowing they're one step ahead of you. Here's the thing. Serial cheaters are often incredibly charming. They know exactly how to present themselves as a perfect partner and more. They're attentive, they're affectionate, and on the surface, they seem very committed. Why? Because they've learned that the best way to keep their secret is by making you feel secure. They'll pour on the compliments, plan spontaneous dates, and say all the right things to disarm your suspicions, but their perfection often feels too perfect. They rarely show vulnerability or admit flaws because they're focused on maintaining control, and vulnerability could expose the cracks in their facade. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to glide through life, always knowing the right words to say, always being just busy enough to make you miss them, but never too busy to lose you completely? That's the kind of calculated behavior I'm talking about. Serial cheaters also have an uncanny ability to rationalize their behavior. They'll justify their actions with phrases like, "Oh, it's just harmless fun," or "everyone's doing it," making it seem like their indiscretions are normal, or even your fault for being too jealous or too controlling. Now, this is emotional manipulation at its best, and it's designed to keep you off balance. And let's not forget the role of their ego. Serial cheaters often thrive on attention and validation. They're addicted to the idea that they can have their cake and eat it too. Every new person they pursue is another win in their book, feeding their sense of superiority and self-worth. That's why they don't stop at one affair, and it's never enough. They're chasing the next high. And here's the most dangerous part. They're incredibly good at covering their tracks. Serial cheaters are master planners. They know how to make their stories align, delete incriminating evidence, and keep you second-guessing yourself. They'll even plant doubt in your mind to make you think you're the one being unreasonable. Now, this doesn't mean every confident, charming person is a serial cheater. Far from it. But when you see these behaviors paired with secrecy, inconsistency, and a lack of accountability, it's time to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Patterns and warning signs. So it's all about recognizing the behavior that sets her apart from someone who's genuinely invested in you. Let's break it down. First, inconsistent communication. Now, you know that feeling when you go from talking all day to radio silence and then suddenly she's back like nothing happened? Serial cheaters are experts at selective availability. 1 minute they're blowing up your phone, making you feel like the center of their universe, and the next they're busy or didn't see your text or missed call. This isn't just normal life getting in the way, it's a deliberate tactic. When she's hot and cold like this, she's likely balancing multiple people, keeping just enough contact with you to maintain your interest while giving her time and focus to another guy. Now, if her communication feels like a roller coaster, it's a major red flag. 2, too many male friends. Aha, I heard you say. Now, before we jump to any conclusions though, let me clarify. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having friends of the opposite sex, but when she's constantly bringing up her close male friends, especially the ones that you've never met, it's worth paying attention. Does she talk about how all her male friends respect her, but avoids inviting you to group hangouts? Does she seem overly defensive when you're casually asking about these friendships? It's not always about jealousy, it's about transparency. If you're left feeling like there's a part of her life that you're not welcome in, it's a red flag. A serial cheater often keeps multiple options in her circle disguised as innocent friendships. Remember that. 3, always on her phone, but never with you. Now, this one's a classic. Is her phone practically glued to her hand, yet every time you ask what she's up to, she gives you vague answers? Or worse, does she angle the screen away whenever you're nearby? Serial cheaters guard their phones like Fort Knox. You'll notice them stepping out of the room to make important calls, or they might claim they're just scrolling social media while barely letting you catch a glimpse. If her phone is a constant source of mystery, it's worth asking yourself, what is she hiding? 4. Gaslighting when you question her. Imagine this. You bring up something that doesn't sit right with you, and instead of addressing your concern, she flips the script. You're just insecure. Why don't you trust me? Or, my favorite, you're overthinking this. Serial cheaters excel at making you doubt yourself. Remember that. By dismissing your concerns and framing you as the problem, she's taking the focus off her behavior and focusing on your reaction. It's a strategy designed to keep you confused and second-guessing yourself. So don't fall for it. If she can't have an honest conversation about your concerns, that says more about her than it does about you. Number 5, a string of suspicious exes. Now pay close attention to how she talks about her past relationships. I mean, if every single one of her exes is described as crazy, obsessive, toxic, you might want to raise an eyebrow. Serial cheaters love to paint themselves as the perpetual victim. By making their exes seem like the problem, they deflect from their own patterns of behavior. And let's be honest, if someone has nothing good to say about any of their exes, chances are they're leaving out some key details. I mean, think about it. What's the common denominator in all those toxic relationships? Her. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone has a bad relationship story or two, but when it's a pattern of drama, secrecy, inconsistent behavior, it's time to take a step back and connect the dots. The emotional manipulation tactics. Here's where it gets real, guys. Serial cheaters don't just rely on their charm or good looks, they manipulate you emotionally to keep you in the game. They've mastered psychological tactics designed to make you doubt yourself, as I already said, crave your attention, and stay hooked even when things don't add up. I'll break down the playbook. So the first thing they do is love bomb. Right? You've heard of love bombing before, right? This is their opening move. And let me tell you, it's powerful. Imagine this, yeah? You just met and she's showering you with compliments, affection, and attention like you're the only man in the world. She's texting constantly. She's planning dates. She's telling you things like, I've never felt this way before. It feels incredible, right? That's the point. She's hooking you emotionally, creating a whirlwind romance that feels almost too good to be true. But here's the catch. Love bombing isn't about genuine connection. It's about control. Once she's sure you're invested, she starts to pull back. The calls become less frequent, the texts more sporadic, and you're left chasing the high of the initial attention. This is how serial cheaters create dependency. You're so hooked on the version of her from the beginning that you begin to overlook the red flags to get it back. 2, disappearing acts. Have you ever been ghosted for a day or two, only for her to come back with an excuse so airtight you almost feel bad for doubting her? Serial cheaters are experts at disappearing acts. And here's how it works. She suddenly becomes busy with work or family or friends and goes radio silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. You're left confused and maybe even worried. Then, just as you start thinking something's seriously wrong, she reappears with an apology and a story that's just believable enough. Sorry, work's been insane, or had to help a friend through something tough. But pay attention to the timing. These disappearing acts often coincide with her meeting someone else or juggling her attention between multiple people. If her absences feel calculated, chances are that they are. 3, the strategic sub-story. Now, this is a sneaky one. Let's say you start questioning her behavior. Maybe she's been distant or her excuses just don't add up, right? Now, instead of addressing your concerns, she flips the script with a story that's so heart-wrenching that you immediately start feeling guilty for doubting her. It could be anything. I mean, a rough childhood, a toxic ex, or a sudden personal crisis. Now, I'm not saying that these things aren't real, but serial cheaters use them as shields. By playing the victim, they deflect attention from their actions and manipulate your empathy. You're too busy comforting her to realize she's avoiding accountability. The sob story isn't just a distraction. It's a way to make you feel like you'd be heartless to call her out. And in that moment, she's back in control. 4, jealousy games. Now, serial cheaters love to test their power by keeping you on edge. She might casually mention how some guys at work keep flirting with her or how she turned out a date from an old friend. At first, it seems innocent, but there's always an ulterior motive for doing that. Now, what she's doing, guys, listen, is planting seeds of doubt and competition in your mind. She wants you to feel like you need to try harder to keep her attention. And when you react, whether it's with jealousy, frustration, or an attempt to prove yourself, she's won. This tactic is all about control. By making you feel insecure, she shifts the focus from her behavior to your reaction. And if you call her out, she'll say something like, "Why are you so jealous? I told you I turned him down." It's a no-win situation. Now, why do serial cheaters use these tactics? Because they work. These emotional games keep you off balance. You start doubting yourself and chasing her approval. The longer you're caught up in the cycle, the harder it is to break free. But here's the thing, you don't have to play their game. In the next section, I'll show you exactly how to spot these manipulations in real time and what you can do to protect yourself. Trust me, once you see through these tactics, you'll never look at the relationship the same way again. What to do if you spot the signs? All right, let's say you've been watching this and you're thinking, "Oh no, I've seen some of these signs. What do I do now?" Don't panic. Now, the fact that you're recognizing these patterns is already a big step. What matters now is how you respond. Now, here's your game plan for dealing with a potential serial cheat. 1, trust your instincts. Your gut doesn't lie. If something feels off, if her stories don't match, her behavior doesn't line up, or you just can't shake that nagging feeling, listen to it. Serial cheaters thrive on the hope that you'll doubt yourself. They want you to second guess your instincts, brush off the red flags, and convince yourself that you're imagining things. But you're not. Ask yourself, does her behavior match her words? Is she consistent in her actions, or does something always feel off? Trusting your instincts is the first line of defense against emotional manipulation. Remember that. 2, make sure you stay calm when you confront her. Confrontation doesn't have to be a shouting match. In fact, it shouldn't be. If you spotted red flags, make sure that you're approaching her calmly and directly. What you want to do is to ask open-ended questions that give her a chance to explain herself. For example, instead of saying, "Why are you always on your phone?" try, "I've noticed you're on your phone a lot lately. Is there something going on?" Now, this approach is less accusatory and more likely to lead to an honest conversation if she's willing to have one. But watch her reaction carefully. If she gets overly defensive, tries to gaslight you, or avoids answering altogether, those are signs that she's hiding something. Remember, the goal here isn't actually to catch her in a lie. It's to see if she's willing to have an honest and open dialogue about your concerns. 3, focus on actions, not words. Words are easy, and anyone can say, "I love you," or "You're the only one for me," and stuff like that. But do her actions align with what she's saying? For example, does she claim she's busy all the time, but has time for mysterious outings that you're not invited to? Does she promise to be more transparent, but keeps her phone locked like a safe? Does she say she values the relationship, but makes you feel like an afterthought? Consistency is key. A trustworthy partner shows you their commitment through their actions and not just their words. 4, set boundaries and stand your ground. Boundaries are your best friend in situations like this. If you suspect she's not being truthful or is playing games, it's time to set them. For example, if she's always on her phone and you've voiced your concerns, let her know what you expect. "I'd like us to be more present when we're with each other. Can you put your phone away?" If she disappears for hours or days, make it clear that this behavior doesn't align with what you need in a relationship. The key here is to stand your ground. Serial cheaters will often push back against boundaries because they don't want to lose the control they have over you. But if she truly values the relationship, she'll respect your limits and make an effort to meet your needs. 5, if you really absolutely want to know whether she's cheating, then I will recommend the KT1000. I recently discovered a device which is available online and has a voice-activated microphone, meaning it only starts recording when it hears a voice. And it can record up to 800 hours on 64 gigabytes of RAM. The newly released KT1000 by Night Security, an American company, is the most versatile and best all-round portable recorder on the market, offering an unmatched combination of features like the ones I just mentioned, but also long-lasting 70-hour battery, perfect size, it's almost the size of my wristwatch as you can see, magnetic base, durable aluminum alloy plus ABS, exterior time-stamped recordings, and so much more. With Night's KT1000, you'll be sure to hear it all so you can get the peace of mind you deserve. And I must mention that Night Security is actually the sponsor of today's video. And you can get a 45% discount by using my code JessicaO at checkout. Now, this is a device that will give you absolute peace of mind, because at that point, you will never be in doubt as to what exactly is going on with her. 6, know when to walk away. Now, here's the hard truth. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. If you've confronted her, you've set boundaries and given her opportunities to change, but her behavior stays the same, you need to prioritize yourself. Serial cheaters rarely change without significant self-awareness and effort, and it's not your job to fix her. Staying in a relationship where trust is constantly broken will only drain you emotionally and mentally. Ask yourself, is this relationship bringing me peace and happiness, or is it making me doubt myself and question my worth? If it's the latter, my guy, it's time to let go. I know walking away isn't easy, especially when you've invested so much. But guess what? Staying with someone who doesn't value your trust and loyalty is even harder in the long run. So take what you've learned today and trust yourself, and don't settle for less than what you deserve. Because at the end of the day, the right relationship should lift you up and not tear you down. If you learned something today, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more candid relationship advice. And tell me in the comments, what's the biggest red flag you've ever spotted in the relationship? I'll be reading every single one. Until next time, keep your head high and your standards higher. Jessica Ois here. Catch you in the next video.